In 2003, DeAndre Brunston was on the porch of a family's house trying to buy more time as Compton sheriffs had multiple guns trained on him in a residential neighborhood. They let their police dog go, and then they leveled someone's home, killing DeAndre Brunston with 81 shots, killing their own canine in the process. They airlifted the canine to the hospital and left DeAndre to die. And the family living in that home had to clean up DeAndre Brunston's remains from their porch. And they moved away from that home because of the trauma. Perhaps if our local elected officials had found some humanity, had found a backbone, had found a moral compass, we would not be standing here today had they delivered justice for DeAndre Brunston. In 2005, an 18-month-old named Susie Pena was in the arms of her father who was having a mental health crisis. Where LA SWAT, fully aware of the fact that there was a baby inside the office of a small auto body shop, leveled the place, shot and killed an 18-month-old baby in her head. Perhaps if our so-called social justice reform advocate, District Attorney George Gascon, who was then Los Angeles Police Department's assistant police chief, had found his social justice side, he would not have justified the murder of Susie Pena. We are fully aware of George Gascon's history as a career politician. There was no justice delivered to 18-month-old Susie Pena. And make no mistake, death is for forever. That family mourns forever. Keisha Brunston mourns forever. In February of 2018, A.J. Weber was murdered by Los Angeles sheriffs. Perhaps if Lacey had filed murder charges, we wouldn't be standing here today. But death of unarmed Black and brown youth is normal in Los Angeles County. And Los Angeles County sets the blueprint for how policing is done nationwide. If Jackie Lacey had found her backbone, she would have charged the officers. If George Gascon had made good on the promises he made on his campaign, off of the labor of impacted families and grassroots organizers who began demanding justice when unarmed Carlos Oliva was murdered by East LA sheriffs in 2013, when we began building a campaign for prosecution from the ground up, demanding that our district attorney take action. But no action was taken, neither by Jackie Lacey or the so-called social justice reform advocate, District Attorney George Gascon, who was our former assistant police chief of Los Angeles, and former district attorney and former police chief of San Francisco, where no justice was delivered for Alex Nieto, where no justice was delivered for Maria Woods. Make no mistake, the bloodshed in California, up and down, from the Bay to LA, that blood is on the hands of our sold out career politicians who play musical chairs from San Francisco to Los Angeles County. In July of 2018, Melly Corrado was working at Trader Joe's in Silver Lake. She's a cousin of a good friend of ours. Los Angeles Police Department shot into the Trader Joe's, murdering Melly Corrado. And our so-called concerned thoughts and prayers police chief Michael Moore justified the killing. Perhaps if they had found their backbone, perhaps if LAPD really actually cared about the reform that Officer Jones was supposedly working on with Los Angeles Police Department to our community, they would have demanded that Melly Corrado's killer be charged. We would not be standing here if Los Angeles Police Department had taken some lessons from their murder of Melly Corrado. In June of 2020, Andres Guardado was murdered by sheriffs. And rather than deliver justice to him, when the medical examiner decided to do an inquest into his murder, killer Deputy Miguel Vega was allowed to flee the country. Sheriff's Department was allowed to withhold evidence. Sheriff Villanueva continues to be a vindictive pawn of white supremacy, charging Isaias Cervantes with their attempted murder of him. In August of 2020, my own daughter was tear gassed by Los Angeles sheriffs who have no regard for the lives of children. There's a long, brutal, and violent history of violence against children at the hands of our local law enforcement, and it needs to stop. Period. We are not just concerned residents of Los Angeles. We are mothers, we are fathers, and we have the right to self-defense of our children by any means necessary. We don't care if you're wearing a badge. You can get it too. In a meeting with George Gascon, as soon as his position was secure as district attorney, when Melly Corrado's brother spoke up and said, if you don't deliver us justice, yes, we will protest at your home too, the way we protested at Jackie Lacey's home. And this so-called reform advocate, George Gascon, after listening to account after account from grief-stricken families, rather than hear the family member out, he decided to be snide with the family of Melly Corrado and say, I don't take kindly to threats, and insult that family. Perhaps if he had listened to Melly Corrado's brother, instead of being snide, instead of being condescending, we would not be standing here today. Perhaps Officer Jones would have had to exercise greater restraint if they had learned from the situation where LAPD brutally executed Melly Corrado by shooting recklessly into places where people and innocent lives are at stake. But instead, we're standing here today for a 14-year-old child who not only did not get to celebrate the holidays with her family, did not get to have all the milestones. She didn't get to go into her high school prom. She didn't get to go to any of these milestones. She didn't get to turn 18. She didn't get to grow. She didn't get to live out her full life. This is normal in Los Angeles County. We demand District Attorney George Gascon file murder charges against Officer Jones, period. Because their suspect should be arrested, not murdered. Right. Officer Jones was so eager to get to the front. Let me take point. As his fellow officers are telling him, slow down. So eager to get to the front with an assault rifle and shoot first. We saw from that footage at the point of the shooting, he said to the victim on the ground that he was supposedly protecting, I got you. So we knew that she was secure. We saw on that video their suspect running away. You don't get to shoot AR-15s or rifles inside of a public place of business where innocent lives are at stake. You don't get to shoot people that you should be arresting instead. You don't get to play judge, jury, and executioner. And if you do, then what is this building for? What is City Hall for? What are the judges for? If you get to be both all jury, judge, executioner, then what is the point of all these buildings that we're standing near? If the police get to make those type of decisions. Officer Jones was eager to use his rifle. And those are the same rifles that us, peaceful and disciplined demonstrators, had trained on us all last year. We've been protesting. We've been demanding justice. We've been peaceful. When we came out with the family of Dijon Kizzy, with the family of Andres Guardado, with the family of A.J. Weber, to Los Angeles Sheriff's Station. We were met with those same weapons trained on us. And a murderous and a brutal sheriff's department. Perhaps if they had not normalized having weapons like this pointed at us, the residents, the constituents of this city, we wouldn't be standing here today. But on a regular basis, myself and my children and our friends were threatened with those same weapons that they eventually used on a 14-year-old child and on a suspect who should have been arrested, not murdered. As we stand here, Vishal is right here. Vishal's hand was broken by LAPD. And instead of justice, instead of humanity, what we got was condescending and snide words from Sheriff Villanueva, calling us woke. All of a sudden, suddenly having opposition, being upset about death, being upset about murder, being upset about people being taken away from their families is woke. We have the right to demonstrate anywhere injustice is happening in our city. We voted for Gascon. We voted Jackie Lacey out. We want murder charges. And take it from me, I don't care that DA Gascon does not take kindly to threats. We get your address. We at your house, period. What do we want? Justice. We want murder charges. What do we want? Murder charges. When do we want them? Now. What do we want? Murder charges. When do we want them? Now. Justice for? Valentina. Justice for? Valentina. Justice for? Valentina. Justice for? Valentina. If we do not stand up for the youth of this world, then all is lost. If you can't find it, all you right-wing bigots sitting back justifying the murder of a child, if you can't find the backbone to stand up for innocent youth in our community, then die and make room.
All right.